Hi friends, it's Dave from Southgate Imaging. So today I'm going to do a setup on a recently acquired Norman B18 Protege guitar manufactured by Godin. I did a full review on this. You can check the channel, it'll be there. After playing the guitar for about a week now, uh, I like to have the guitar in the house for maybe a week and let it settle in to the humidity in my house and just get a rough feel for how it's playing. And it needs a new set of strings anyway, so it's a good time to walk through the setup. And I'll do it on the bench, actually my island in the house, but you'll see what I'm looking for. So again, today we're going to set up a Norman B18, which is AKA really a Seagull S6 original from Godin. Beautiful cedar guitar. So we'll get started on the workbench. So here we are in my workbench. And if you notice, it's basically a yoga mat, a yoga block on an island. And in my house, the best light in the house is actually right here. I've got a great big LED light above us, and I just like working here. So when my wife's out of the house, which she is right now, this is kind of where I do my work. My kit, this is really, for a setup like this is really where I'm going to be. So I have new extra strings I want to put on. I don't have nut files. I should really invest with them. But for light nut work, I generally use welding file tip cleaners. I have an assortment of those. I have worked good in the past. Something new today, I know for cleaning frets, I've always used steel wool. And today I'm going to try these fingernail nail blocks I picked up dollar store, $1.25. I'd run out of steel wool. What I never liked about using steel wool is that you end up with steel wool filings all over your guitar, and you're just asking for it to get scratched. So to me, that wasn't probably the best way to go. And I have a couple string winders. This one I always like because I had the end puller on here, and I really like these. And then I just got the Planet Waves string winder, but I like having the string clipper there. And for cleaning the frets, I always mask it off, so a little painter's tape. Dunlop 65 Lemon Oil Ultimate, I use that. And today we're going to use a Lexer 1253 light gauge strings, 80-20 bronze. It's just what I happen to have in the house. I would probably prefer phosphorus bronze on a mellow guitar, but you just never know. So that's the way we're going to go with this. So as far as setup is concerned, there's really three elements, and you really should do them in this order. You want to check your neck relief, and I'll show you how to do that. Then you want to check your nut height here, which can make a huge difference in playability. And then you want to check your saddle height back here. And to go down, you just sand down your saddle. The problem, of course, the risk always being is that if you go down too low, now you got a problem. You'll have to shim your saddle or replace your saddle. So with setups, I prefer to go slow versus fast, and just take my time with them. So that's basically it. So that's my approach to a setup. So the first thing is nut height. So first order of business is going to be the neck relief. And I've been working with this guitar for a bit already, so I kind of know where I'm going, but this is the process that I use. So basically put a capo on the first fret, hydraulically press down on each individual string. You can use a feeler gauge here if you want. I kind of know by feel and whatever. So when I go down here, these strings just have a touch of relief in them now. And I'm pretty happy with that. So all I'm doing is bouncing the string off of the fret and just seeing how far above it. So basically, if you press down here and here, you got a straight line here, and so you're going to see exactly where your relief is on your guitar. And this I'm happy with. It's not quite flat. It's close to flat. If I want more relief, I can kind of put that in later. So step two is I basically will just fret out on the third fret and check my relief here. See how much, not my relief, but just check the amount of space I have between the first fret and the string. And
it's a matter of feel, and I know just from playing it that this guitar is a touch high, and I know that uh, the sixth the E string is high. I know that the A string, D's not too bad. That's not too bad. That's a little high, and that's bang on where it wants to be. So what you want to do is look at each individual string and see where you think you should be. So on this particular guitar, I actually like my string height right there. I'm happy with that. So I'm taking a look at that. So the way I'm going to approach this first is I want to take the nut down a little bit. I'm going to use the old strings that are on it until I get my nut height where I'm comfortable with. And then I'm going to go and look at the action at the 12th fret, yeah, when I get that far. So it's an iterative thing. I know my relief is where I want. I want to move this down a little bit. Then I may address this by shaving down the saddle. So the process for the nut adjustment here is I know here my nut is high, at least on the E and the D, E and the A string. The D isn't too bad. The G is pretty darn good where it's at. B is not bad, and E I don't want to move. So I may just do the E and the D, or E, A, and D. I may just leave that where it's at. So I may just touch these for now. So the process is you basically just detune the string, and you can just put that over there. Then I use these. I mean, one day I'm going to invest in the proper nuts, and I'll be doing better setups. My approach with this is I always go slow, and I just take my time with this. And I'd rather take an extra 10 minutes doing the setup than screwing up a nut. I don't want to screw up a nut. So you got to find one of these that fits. I've used these before with light gauge strings, so I know this is the right one. This is where I'm going to go with this. And basically, you have to approach this at an angle that kind of mirrors the headstock. So the fretboard goes like this, and then the headstock goes down at that angle, and that's really the angle you want to do it. So these are okay, but they're not as sharp as a nut file. A nut file, you might just take 2 passes. We're going to have to do a bit more in this. So anyway, let's just get going with this. So remember to file at an angle. And then just recheck it. So you basically tune it. And then you press down the string and you'll try it again. That really didn't move too much, but that's the process. In this case, I'm going to repeat this for the E and the A, and then get it to the point where I know my action's better, and I'll probably move on with just that, because that's really, in playability, that's what I noticed with this guitar. So we'll move ahead with that. Okay, so I have the nut finished off. Now basically this E, A, and D strings were the kind of the worst. The E was the absolute worst, and I brought them down. So basically I fret this out at the 3rd fret, and it's just barely sitting on the 1st fret. It's exactly right. This is just right. This is just right. These, I don't like to change too much at once, and I found the playability of the guitar was really in the lower strings, E, A, and D up here when I was playing it. So I'm going to leave that like it is. I don't like to change too much. With that small change, the action on the low E string actually came down. See, I'll try to show that to you. So the action actually came down a touch here on the 12th fret. And I could measure that. I could take a feeler gauge out and do that. I'm pretty happy with that. And down here, it's fine. I like it. I just know I like the way the guitar plays. And my approach really is I'd rather go slow and and the next time I go through the guitar, maybe move it down a bit or whatever. We're right in the middle of seasonal change here in Halifax. So this is April, mid-April. And, the humidity in the house has been 40%. And it's going to be, within a month, it's going to be up to 80% and stuff like that. So your guitar moves. I just want to leave some room just in case. If anything, it's the action's going to rise, and in which case I can just go and pop out the saddle anytime and do that. So I think I'm going to leave it where it's at. It played pretty good to me before, and it was just a nut. When it's interesting when you go into Long McQuaid, back in the day, I used to get done work at Long McQuaid Bedford, and there's a Sampson guy there, Dave Sampson, I think. Anyway, his last name was Sampson. And he was a great setup guy, and he could take your guitar to 100%, no problem. But what he used to do is sit down with you and say, "What do you play? How do you play?" So he wanted to figure out your string gauge, where you're going with that. He wanted to figure out everything, your playing style or your finger style. If you're a finger style player, you don't want high string height. If you're, a bluegrass guy, you want your string height a little higher. You want to be able to bang into that guitar. So he'd sit down and he'd talk that over with you before he'd even touch the guitar. Nowadays, the last couple setups I got there, they just take it in and they adjust it to quote factory specs, which is okay. It's gonna get it 60 to 70% of the way there, but you got to go back a couple times because again, they don't want to be replacing saddles and nuts for a player that isn't even going to notice the difference, to be honest. So you may have to go. You pay for setup. It could be $120 for setup. Actually, what I'm doing here would be probably $120 at Long McQuaid plus HST and stuff. So when you learn to do this yourself, you can save yourself a lot of money. So let's just take a quick look at this again now. So the next step is really going to be cleaning up the guitar. I know my neck relief is where I want it. I know my nut is where I want it, and I know my saddle is where I want it. I know I have a little room with the saddle. I could take it down a touch. I don't really want to do that right now. I just want to kind of work through this and see where I go. So I got it where I want it. Now, basically, I clean the fretboard, polish the frets, just wipe down the guitar, and then install the strings. So here we go. So here's my process. Basically, I'm just going to pull these strings off. While I'm in here, I'll show you what I found is I've always had these string winders. I had no clue what this was for until I was in a guitar shop one day and saw what the guy does. Basically, they use these to go under there and pull that up. It's so easy. I had no idea what these were doing. So that's a great tip, I guess. So I'll basically go through this, take the strings off. I'll get a damp cloth. I'll wipe down the entire guitar, wipe down the fretboard. Then I'm going to polish the frets, and I'll show you that process. Then I'm going to use lemon oil on the fretboard and lemon oil on the bridge to clean that up. And then we'll get going from there. Oh, and a pro tip, don't throw out all your old strings because there's going to be a day where you realize, oh, I broke a string, and you don't have time to go get a pack of strings. So it's good to have that. So next step, we're just going to give this a little wipe down. Just a slightly damp cloth. It's always the best way to get when you want to clean out this little bit here. This is good. The other thing that's good inspecting your guitar is during the winter, you could get some bellying even if you've been humidifying your guitar. So just keep a look on that. And I just keep looking here at the bottom of the saddle, make sure it's not lifting or anything like that. Just keep your eye on that. Give your guitar a good wipe down. It's easier to do with the strings off, so do it with the strings off if you can. It's amazing how many times you go and you buy used guitars and they've never been maintained, and how good they feel when you come home and just do a good clean up, a little minor setup and a clean up on them. They just feel amazing, right? So it can transform a guitar, and it's a good tip for resale. It's a lot easier to resell a guitar that looks good and looks good in the pictures. Being a photographer, pictures are very important. So you just want to kind of work through this. get as much of the crud off as you can here on the fretboard. Little wipe down here while the strings are off is the easiest way to do it, best time to do it. Just a little, try to not knock your camera over. And there's a bit of a sticker residue in the top there. I think Godin used to put, back in this day, they used to put stickers back there, product stickers back there. They don't anymore. The serial number, I think, should be, where are the serial numbers at now? I think they had the serial numbers on the label on the stickers there. And, oh no, this one has it in the sound hole. With some of the early guitars, they used to have a serial number in the sticker. And then they went to a serial number that was like kind of stamped into the headstock, and now they're in the label. So that's pretty good there. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to work on the frets with this new fangled nail thing I have. To do frets, I just use painter's tape. Cut it like this. And really, there's a little bit of fret wear on this, but I'm not worried about leveling them or anything like that. I'm just cleaning them off really right now. Just really for cosmetics. Maybe they'll play a little better if they don't have crud on them. So I'm not too fine about this. I just kind of mask them off like that. Now, when you do find a good setup guy locally, treat him good, because a good setup guy can make a crappy old guitar play real good, and he's worth his weight in gold. I'll tell you. You can. So here we go. I found that number 4 nail condition and number 5 smooth nail might be too smooth, but number 4 seems to be working really good. So I've just been kind of rotating them over, and it does a way better job than steel wool. These things are fantastic. I think I might even try going to a nail buffer and just polishing them a little more. But you can see there, that's the kind of gook it's getting off, and right there, this is a great alternative. You just keep moving down the fretboard. So I wiped down the fretboard again. I wiped down the guitar again. I've actually pulled the saddle out because I'm going to condition the saddle and the fretboard. Basically, with this stuff, I've been using it for years, and I'm still on my original bottle of this stuff. You just basically put it on like that. We're going to go the whole way down. In a guitar that you know hasn't been cleaned up lately, you'll probably want to do this like 2 applications. Just let it kind of dry in, and then go back. So I'll just let that sit there for a few minutes and absorb. What I do, I'll just go through the soft cloth. I usually take the remaining and get it on the side. You'll see what I mean in a second. So what we've got done so far, so we got the setup done, truss rod adjusted, we got the nut set to where we want it, and we got the action set to where we want it. So really the last thing to do now is put on some new strings. And today I'm using light gauge Elixir 1253 8020 bronze. Maybe a little warm for this guitar, but it may be just fine too. So we'll see how that goes. So a pro tip, if you're taking out your pins, keep track of the order they came out and then put them back, because they kind of get compressed a certain way. You don't have to do it, but they'll stay in better if you do that. One thing I forgot to mention is when you're restringing and you got your the strings off anyway, you always check your tuner bolts here and just kind of snug them up. What happens is guitars get dry over the years, and they just loosen up because the guitar is getting smaller a little bit in that area. So just double do these while we're here. If you don't do this, eventually you may notice some buzzing or something in your guitar, and that's what that can be, those nuts. Okay, so we have our strings installed, loosely tensioned. I'll just go off camera and tune these to pitch, and we're close to being done. Okay, so strings have been tuned to pitch. A little secret I do, actually, I use the Guitar Tuna app and I put it in manual mode. I find it's easier to get through it. And if I leave it in automatic mode, it takes forever to get it straightened away. So I go manual mode for the first run through the strings and back to automatic mode where you're at least close on your strings, and I get it in tune faster like that. The biggest change on this guitar just playing it was the work on the nut. It's much easier to play now. Looking at it now with these strings, maybe I could have taken the sail down. That's a really easy thing to do. I just look at here and I'm like, that's perfect where I want to be with the E, A, and D. The rest of them were fine, so that was great. Just quickly looking at the action. Um, it's really good. I could maybe tighten the truss rod a bit. I'm going to just let it sit for now, and maybe in a couple of days I might readdress that. Might not. It's pretty darn good, and the action here is just fine. This is going to be a jam guitar for me, and it's not really a fingerstyle guitar. It's good with fingerstyle, but it's really the way I got it set up. This is a great sounding guitar. I hope it goes through on the mics I'm using today, but it's just a great sounding guitar. So this is, like I say, a 15-year-old Norman with a little bit of setup work that you can do yourself is transformed. To my ear, this sounds better than the inspired by Gibson J45 slash that I just had. It's more resonant, even though it's not all solid. Um, it's just a more resonant guitar. The Slash basically had a huge pickguard on it, like they do, and it was a heavy build. This is not bad. This is what I call a mid-weight build. So these things are great values. These things on Kijiji or Marketplace are $400 to $500 guitars, depending on the condition and that. And if you're able to evaluate the guitar and stay away from the problems, you can pick up something like this. And this is just a stellar guitar. It's just an amazing guitar. So again, I hope you enjoyed the process. It might be a little long, a little dry. It's not that complicated once you've done a few of them, and I really enjoy the setup work.
Sometimes I'm disappointed if I buy a new used guitar, a new to me guitar, and I don't have something to set up on it because I enjoy doing it. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. Remember to like, subscribe. Any comments? Anything you see I'm doing wrong? Let me know. My next investments are going to be a nut file and the feeler gauges and stuff, which I know, but I've been getting away with what I've been doing so long. Anyway, have a great day. Thanks.